quote, demoralizing night for teams that don't have a dude at QB. It's not just that Mahomes won again with a mid-offense. He beat the picture-perfect example of building a mega roster around a cheap QB. If this Niners team can't do it, who could hope to? Our own Phil Perry writing the following on NBC Sports Boston.com. What's it all mean for the Patriots? They won't find another Mahomes in this year's draft, but if they feel as though a true franchise quarterback is there with a third overall pick, they have to pounce. There simply aren't enough opportunities to find those types of players, and with Mahomes poised to dominate the AFC for the next decade or so, landing a QB who has a chance to push him has to be the focus of any team that hopes to compete with him in the conference. All right, welcome into Arbella Early Edition. Trenni Casey alongside Marc the Beetle Bertrand from 98.5 The Sports Hub, and our two Patriots insiders, Tommy Curran and Phil Perry. Phil, I mean, it's a lesson to be learned. It was on full display last night. You need an elite quarterback if you want to win a Super Bowl.
You need someone that you can win because of, not just someone you can win with. And I thought we saw that last night. There was one quarterback whose team turned it over twice, whose team couldn't run the football, and he found a way to win because he made plays really on his own in the overtime. And the other quarterback in the game, his team couldn't run the ball all that effectively either, about 3 yards per carry with their running backs the Niners had. His team turned it over twice. And yes, there were some other mistakes mixed in there, but the point is you're never going to play a perfect game. And you need a quarterback who can help elevate your team in the most critical situations. Brock Purdy really didn't do that. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he even had a bad game. But they were like 3 for 13 on third down. And he averaged less than 7 yards per attempt. And this was one of the most historically efficient offenses we've ever seen.
Yep.
All kinds of talent around him. First team All-Pros all up and down that offensive huddle. And they still lost because they don't have the guy at the most important position.
But he is Larry Bird, he's Magic Johnson, he's Michael Jordan, he's Tiger Woods, he's Tom Brady. He is on that tier. Those don't grow on trees. And he was the 10th overall pick. So he is a cheat code in every single game. It doesn't matter who the elite is. If Josh Allen, you want to say he's elite? Fine. He's not as good as Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow, maybe he got lucky. He beat him one time. But he's not Patrick Mahomes.
But those guys are better than Purdy.
They are.
That's the point, right?
But they didn't lose the game because of Brock Purdy. They certainly didn't. I mean, the worst turnover of the game was from Patrick Mahomes.
I would argue, though, they didn't win the game because of Brock Purdy either. Like, they didn't lose the game because of him. But they also didn't win the game
because there's not that many guys who are going to be able to just take a team by the scruff of its neck and drag them. They don't exist. Jalen Hurts couldn't last year.
You could have plugged in a better quarterback than Brock Purdy last night and beaten a better quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. I agree with you. There are no better quarterbacks than Patrick Mahomes. You can't match up another quarterback that you think is going to eclipse him anytime soon and think, well, I've got the better guy, so I'm going to win. But I think if they had a better quarterback in that game last night, they would have given themselves a better chance to win. Tom Brady got beat by inferior quarterbacks. He got beat by Eli Manning twice. But Eli Manning was good enough to get the job done when it mattered most. And I think that the 49ers lack that in Brock Purdy.
But how do you say that Brock Purdy would have stopped the punt glancing off the return?
He wouldn't have.
How would Brock Purdy have stopped the Christian McCaffrey
How about on this
fumble?
3rd and 5 play where they throw the ball on 3rd and 5, where they should have run the ball anyway? On 3rd and 5.
A 2-minute warning?
I wouldn't have put that on Brock Purdy.
Trent McDuffie with an absolutely unbelievable blitz. That's Steve Spagnuolo.
Which he didn't recognize.
There was nothing he could do. He was scurrying around. It's a brilliant play.
This is, I think, where you're off. I think there are quarterbacks who are more physically talented, who are bigger, who can make that first guy miss, who could shrug off a Trent McDuffie who's about 5'11", 190 pounds, and you step up and you make a throw. That's where he is lacking, whether you like it or not. He is, again, he's a good player. He's about the 12th or 13th best quarterback in the league. That's not bad. It's not as good as some other guys that could get them out of those tight spots.
And we're focusing on Brock Purdy, which is obvious because they played yesterday, but also look at the Niners had an unbelievable roster when Jimmy Garoppolo was there and they couldn't do it. Like, to me, it's not just one guy that we've seen that hasn't been able to get over the hump with a roster also around him that is nearly perfect. But like, you need that quarterback.
They didn't think he was good enough.
Right.
Eventually, they found it out. Yeah. Eventually.
But I would say this. You had in Jimmy Garoppolo a cast-off to a degree. He was left on their doorstep. They used him. He was an overthrow away from winning that Super Bowl. It wasn't really on him. I know it is. But Josh Allen would have had 3 picks if he was sitting there. I mean, that's the thing is, who's the next best guy? You can line them all up and knock them all down because who's the next best quarterback in the league? Is it Josh Allen?
Probably. Lamar Jackson was MVP this year. There's a number of guys who are in that category. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. There are a number of guys who are better than Brock Purdy who would have given the Niners a better chance to win. When you can't make plays, they couldn't make a drop-back pass to save their lives in the most critical situations. They're 3 for 13 on third down. It gets muddy for him. He's a little bit small. He can't, in the face of pressure, right? They had 9 unblocked pressures against them, the Niners did yesterday. A lot of quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes in today's game can actually backpedal in that situation, buy themselves time, and use their incredible arm strength to make tight window throws. That's not Brock Purdy's game.
But your trade-off is he completed this game against a very good Kansas City defense this year with no turnovers on himself. So you might encounter that with Lamar Jackson, who threw a knee-buckling pick in the divisional playoff. There's like no but. He did everything
I'd run the risk.
he could.
Yeah, because there's also the risk that they can make a big play.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the debate boils down to. Do you want to accept some of the mistakes that some of these other guys might make? And Josh Allen would certainly be at the top of the list of guys who will make a really bad mistake. But the reward is you've got a guy who's got a lot more ability.
This is like a board meeting in Japan on how to stop Godzilla. I mean, he's there. There's nothing you can do about him.
Well, people have beaten him. He is beatable. You just, I think, have to have the right.
Joe Burrow on the 49ers last night. Joe Burrow on the 49ers last night, and the 49ers have another title.
I agree.
But he's hurt.